Conservative new media viewers, JLin fans around the world, Charlotte Hornets fans around the world, what's up? It's me, PFV, Paul F. Villarreal, the NBA expert. We're here to discuss Charlotte's 107-84 victory tonight over the Atlanta Hawks in Charlotte, North Carolina. Hornets improved to 18-20 on the season. Hawks dropped 23-16. For Charlotte, they end their season-long 7-game losing streak. Atlanta has their 2-game winning streak stopped, and this was definitely a critical game for Charlotte just to get back on the winning side of the ledger. So we're definitely going to do a nice woo here. So countdown to the woo. If you don't like loud noises, then you can skip this part of the video and move on. 3, 2, 1. Woo! Great stuff tonight. I really like the energy of the team. They played extremely hard. They were focused, and they had a difficult time through the middle of the first quarter, but they hung tough and just kind of coasted on from there. The reason that the Hornets won tonight was they had more energy than the Hawks did. They shot the ball better than the Hawks did. They rebounded the ball better than the Hawks did. They got to the free throw line more. Pretty much in all facets, they beat the Hawks tonight. And the Hawks, I believe, had 4 days of rest before playing tonight's game, whereas Charlotte had just 2 days of rest. And it was mentioned during the broadcast by, I believe, Del Curry, sometimes you can have too much rest between games, and you kind of lose your edge or you lose your rhythm. And that might have happened to the Hawks tonight. Who knows? Maybe the Hawks took the Hornets a little bit too lightly. The Hawks were 2-0 against the Hornets coming into tonight's game on this season, although both games were very close. And it's just, Charlotte was the desperate team. They needed this victory more than the Hawks needed it. And it showed, and they were able to get the win. Jeremy played very well tonight. I love the way he played tonight. The only thing is he didn't shoot the three-pointer well, particularly early in the game, but he did hit one three-pointer down the stretch, which that might get him going. That might kind of break the glass that's over the rim whenever Jeremy shoots the three-pointer. That seems to be kind of kicking the balls away from going in. But he finished the game really strong. His fourth quarter was his best quarter of the night. The Hornets didn't need it. Like, they were already comfortably ahead when Jeremy did well in the fourth quarter. But for him personally, it could be just the kind of start or the kind of moment that he needs to get himself back into gear. Of course, he's been dealing with this sprained ankle now for quite a bit. I mentioned on Twitter that Jeremy said before the game in today's shoot-around that the ankle was feeling as good as it's felt since he hurt it, and he was hoping that his speed when he's playing the game would be better than it has been. Now, I think that I think the ankle is still affecting him on defense. He still looks a little bit slow on defense. His lateral movement looks a little bit off. But his offense looks pretty strong. He's looking pretty good. And let's go over what his statistics were for tonight's game. First, I'll say for the Hawks, they only double-figure scorer that they had in tonight's game was Paul Millsap, the power forward, 20 points and 5 rebounds. Charlotte was led by Kemba Walker, 23 points, 3 rebounds, 5 assists. He had a very nice game. Kemba and Cody Zeller in particular played with enormous amount of energy in this game. They really, really played aggressively and with high effort from start to finish, and the Hornets need it, and they fed off of that, did the rest of the team. Cody Zeller, 19 points, 10 rebounds, terrific outing from him. He seemed to be everywhere on the court, just going for rebounds, getting aggressive baskets. He was really, really great tonight. Then let's turn to JLin, who was the leading scorer off the bench for the Hornets. He was the only double-figure scorer off the bench. In fact, he, Kemba, and Cody were the only 3 players for the Hornets to score in double figures. JLin, 19 points, 5 rebounds, 1 assist. Jeremy played 27 minutes, shot 5 of 11 from the field, including 1 of 6 from three-point range. 8 of 8 free throws, which is terrific. No steals, 1 block shot, 2 turnovers, 3 personal fouls, and his plus-minus was a plus 14. The 2 turnovers, we can talk about that a little bit in the quarter by quarter. Neither one of them were bad. The first one wasn't great. The second one was questionable. I'll just say that until I discuss it more. But as I mentioned, Jeremy, he played well throughout the game. It's a little bit off. Just kind of, I think in the first quarter it was a little bit off, and we'll discuss that. But he really got it going in the fourth quarter. His efficiency in the fourth quarter was 11, which is fantastic. It's particularly since Jeremy only played about 7 minutes of the fourth quarter. So having 11 efficiency in 7 minutes is terrific. His PER will definitely be going up after tonight's game. I think he came into this game with, I want to say a 15.7, but I'm not really sure. I'm not sure about that. That might not be right. Might be a little bit lower than that, but it's clearly going up after this contest. So, look, Jeremy's done a good job of hanging tough while he's dealing with this ankle injury. I mean, it's definitely slowed him down on both sides of the ball. Maybe it's affected his shooting. I really don't know. But the team needed him. He's played through it. And hopefully he's on the better end of it. Ankles can take several weeks to heal. Particularly, it depends on where the sprain is. Typically, the higher up the ankle the sprain is, the longer it takes to heal. I have no idea what part of his ankle Jeremy sprained, so I really don't know, but hopefully he will continue to get better from here. Okay, let's do a little bit of quarter by quarter here. Jeremy came into the game with the Hornets having had an excellent start. They were up 13-2 when Jeremy first came into the game with 6 minutes and 27 seconds left, and he came in to replace Kemba Walker. Again, Kemba was playing all out, so it was good for him to get a little bit of a break when he could, particularly since the Hornets were already up by double figures. Okay, Jeremy was quickly fouled driving to the basket. He was awarded 2 free throws, made both of them. That increased Charlotte's lead to 17-2. You could hear, as you often hear at home games in Charlotte, you can hear Steve Clifford talking for the entire game. He's constantly shouting instructions and describing plays and play calls. And one of the plays that he called in was named Seattle, obviously for the city and probably a team. I would imagine it's a play perhaps that the former Seattle Supersonics like to use. But whatever it was called Seattle. I believe that was true. Then I made the note to myself, Lin looks slow on defense because of his ankle. So he might not be able to really push off of the ankle yet, going side to side. He does look a little bit slow with the lateral movement, and I would imagine that is because of the ankle. Then late in the first, Jeremy had his first and only blocked shot of the game. Dennis Schroeder drove past Jeremy going to Schroeder's left, I believe, and then Jeremy kind of timed it, and as Schroeder extended to go for the layup, Jeremy blocked the shot away. Soon after that, he had a defensive rebound in traffic, which was nice. Then Atlanta got a couple baskets, so they cut the lead down to 18-7 at this point. Now, both Nicholas Batum and Kemba were off the floor at this point in time, and the Charlotte announcers were saying, well, when those two go off of the court, you lose some playmaking, and they didn't say this, but basically at that point, Jeremy's the only playmaker on the team. And the announcers were kind of saying, like, yeah, it's kind of, you got to pass the ball more. In other words, there might not be a great dribble driver on the court at that time. Now, Jeremy is a good dribble driver. He's not as quick as Kemba is when he's dribbling the ball. But there were essentially the Hornets' offense started to slow down a little bit. It started to get bogged down. And there was there were some difficult moments here. And Jeremy was part of that, but he and the team did eventually work through it, which was good. However, soon after the announcers made those comments, Jeremy did have his first turnover of the game. Jeremy Lamb came up to receive the ball basically on the left three-point line, about midway, maybe about, 70 degrees left of the top of the arc. JLin rushed the pass to Jeremy Lamb, and it was too low. So basically the pass was at Jeremy Lamb's feet, and it ended up going out of bounds. And so that was the turnover charge to JLin. Soon after that, Troy Daniels came in. Troy got some playing time tonight, and he hit at least one three-pointer. Troy is a shooter, and I was glad to see him get some playing time tonight, and he did well in the playing time that he did receive. If Charlotte could have one more wing player, like a shooting guard or a small forward, that can come in here and there, that would be really good. In fact, there was talk recently that Charlotte was interested in Bojan Bogdanovic, I believe his name is, from the Nets. Bojan is a shooting guard / small forward. What I'm thinking that they probably want to do is they will probably want to be able to rest Nicholas Batum a little bit more so you don't have to play him too much. Of course, if Michael Kidd-Gilchrist was healthy, then they wouldn't have any problems. So are they going to get Bogdanovic? I have no idea. But if Troy Daniels can play a little bit, if he can come in and contribute, that gives you a solution. That gives you a guy that can play maybe 10 minutes a game, hit three-pointers, and that allow for Nick to rest a little bit more. So we will see how this plays out. But I was happy that Troy played tonight, and he played well. He played well in a recent game, and I'm sure that's why Steve Clifford played him tonight. Okay. Then Jeremy was fouled on another drive to the basket. He was coming from the left-hand side of the hoop. He received a pass, I think, cutting on the baseline, or he received the pass in the corner, left corner, dribbled to the basket, missed the shot, but was fouled, hit both free throws there. That made the score 20-13. I then put that Dennis Schroeder is having success driving against JLin. So Dennis Schroeder is a small, quick guard, and you have Jeremy, who's a pretty big guard with a bad ankle. So Schroeder was taking advantage of that, and he did a pretty good job of that, so you have to give him credit for that. Soon after, Jeremy missed his first shot of the game. He missed his first field goal attempt. It was a three-pointer from about 15 degrees left of the top of the arc. I then put the bench unit is struggling for the Charlotte. So basically, the Charlotte had a 15-point lead early in the first quarter, and now it was a 1-point lead. And that's how the first quarter ended, with Charlotte up 20-19. Somebody told me on Twitter, and I'm sorry I don't remember who it is right now. I'm sorry. They said that Jeremy Lamb wasn't passing the ball to JLin in this game. And I'm going to agree with that. And one of the times that happened was very late, right before the buzzer of the first quarter. Jeremy Lamb forced up a shot, and he passed up, moving the ball to JLin for a three-point attempt. JLin was wide open. I don't think it's a conspiracy. I don't think Jeremy Lamb doesn't like JLin or anything like that. Jeremy Lamb is not getting as many minutes as JLin is now. JLin has kind of gotten the sixth man spot. Jeremy Lamb's a good shooter, and he's a good scorer. And I think part of it is just Jeremy Lamb just wants to get opportunities to shoot. And I think that's kind of a little bit of what's happening right here. I don't think it's a problem. I think that it'll be fine, but it was happening earlier in this game. That was something that I noticed as well, and as did the commenter on Twitter. And I'm sorry that I forget who it is. I should remember, but I just can't. After one quarter of play, Jeremy Lin, 4 points, 2 rebounds, 0 assists. Moving on to the second quarter, Jeremy Lin was still on the court, and the Hornets were using kind of a small, the first three, they like to have 3 playmakers on the court at the same time when they can. And that is often Kemba, Jeremy Lin, and Nick Batum. But here early in the second quarter, it was Kemba, Jeremy Lin, and Jeremy Lamb. I think that probably happened because I believe Nick Batum already had 2 personal fouls. So they didn't want him to pick up a third foul before the half, and so instead they were going with Jeremy Lamb here. And also it was the time for the bench to play. Okay, Jeremy Lin missed his second shot, which was also a three-pointer from the left corner, went a little bit left of the rim, just kind of hit like the back of the rim and went off. Then I put Jeremy Lamb is looking off Jeremy Lin, which means he's not passing the ball. And it happens. Jeremy Lin, coming into this game, was in a shooting slump. He didn't shoot well in Denver, and he started off a little bit cool tonight. If you miss some shots, your teammates won't look for you as much. That happens frequently, particularly if you're not like a superstar. They'll look away from you. And so it did happen, but it happens. That can happen now and then. Okay, then Jeremy missed his third shot of the game. He went for a reverse layup in transition. So he got the ball. Jeremy was running down the left side of the court. He received the pass. He went under the basket and came up on the right side of the basket. He just missed the shot. The good thing about it was 2 of the Atlanta players went up to try to defend against the shot, and that meant nobody was around the rim, and there were 2 Charlotte players right there to get the rebound and tip it in, and the person who did get it and tip it in was Jeremy Lamb. So that was a positive play for Jeremy Lin because he set up his teammates really, really well. Okay, at that point, 32-21 for Charlotte. So they had shaken off the early troubles. That first run in the first quarter by the bench where they gave up the lead. Now they had pushed the lead back up. And in fact, Jeremy scored a teardrop shot. A teardrop is a floater shot. It's a one-handed shot that is really with a high arc. Super high arc. That's called a teardrop. Basically because it's like coming straight down almost when it does its downward descent. Okay? And that capped off a 12-0 run for Charlotte that made the score 34-21 and forced an Atlanta timeout. Okay? Then I put, after the timeout, Jeremy Lin was guarding Kyle Korver. And I don't know why, I'm not sure exactly why Clifford put him on Korver. It could be because so he could chase Korver around screens, because usually Atlanta sets up a lot of screens for Korver, and Jeremy's pretty good at getting through screens. Or it could have been that Clifford felt like, well, Jeremy's ankle's not quite right yet. He's having trouble guarding the smaller guys, so let's put him on somebody a little bit slower. I really don't know. I know that Jeremy has guarded Kyle Korver before, and I think he's done decently at it, so it could have been for either reason. I really don't know which one it was. Jeremy came out of the game with 5 minutes and 15 seconds left in the first half in the second quarter. At that point, Charlotte was up 37-28, and when he came out, it was then all of the Charlotte starters that were back on the court. Okay? He then soon came back in for Kemba Walker with 2 minutes and 59 seconds left. So basically, Jeremy rested for about 2.5 minutes of game time. Came back in to just give Kemba a break. Again, Kemba was working incredibly hard in this game. At that point, the score was 41-30. He missed his fourth shot of the game. This was his third three-point attempt, and the shot clock was about to go off, and Jeremy had to shoot the ball. So it basically was just a heave. But, of course, that counts as a shot attempt as well. Then he was fouled once more. He was fouled out. He wasn't in the act of shooting, but Atlanta was already in the penalty in terms of fouls, and that meant automatic free throws. Jeremy hit both free throws. That made the score 43-32 for the Charlotte Hornets, and they went into halftime soon after with a 45-36 lead. Jeremy, at this point, had 8 points and 3 rebounds, and he was shooting 1 of 5 for the game. Okay, going into the third quarter, Marvin Williams started he had a very good third quarter, particularly, that was probably his best quarter of the game. It was nice to see that. You could see all of the bench, including Jeremy, cheering for Marvin Williams during this stretch point in time. Jeremy came into the game for Nick Batum after Batum picked up his fourth foul with 3 minutes and 50 seconds left in the third quarter. At that point, Charlotte led 70-53. Soon after, Jeremy had a great play where he got past his defender and drove right to the basket. And what had happened, there was nobody at the basket. Kyle Korver had gotten switched on defense and was guarding Cody Zeller. And what Cody did was he basically got out of Jeremy's way, and he took Kyle Korver with him. Like, they ended up like almost behind the basket. And so it was a nice play by Cody because it just gave a free open lane for Jeremy, and he easily converted a little scoop right up layup. That made Atlanta call a timeout, and the score then was 74-53. So Charlotte was really pulling away here. Soon after that, Jeremy got his second and final turnover of the game. He was called for a charge. It was on the right-hand side of the court on the perimeter, and he broke to his left, and I think he ran into Dennis Schroeder. I thought it was definitely a block. In other words, I thought it was a foul on Schroeder. And that, when you get a charge, that counts as a turnover, so that was the second one. And soon after, you could hear Steve Clifford say to the referee, "What the bleep is going on?" because he wasn't happy with the call. And honestly, I don't blame him. I didn't think it was a very good call. After that sequence, Jeremy then missed his fifth shot of the game, so he was now only 1 of 6 from the field. But that was going to change in the fourth quarter. His shooting was going to go way up, and 4 of those attempts were three-pointers. So at this point in the game, Jeremy was he was 2 of 7 and 0 of 4 on three-pointers. But I think those were all of he was going to have only 1 more miss in the game. And like I said, his shooting would greatly improve in the fourth quarter. At the end of 3 quarters, Charlotte led 80-58, so they were up by 22 points. Jeremy had 10 points and 3 rebounds at that point in the game, and he was shooting 2 of 7 from the field, and as I mentioned, 0 of 4 from three-point range. Okay, moving on to the fourth and final quarter, Jeremy was fouled once on the perimeter, no shots. Then he was fouled going for a shot. It was another floater shot. It was a really nice move, and it was a really good shot. He was fouled on that move, made both free throws. Those were his final free throws of the game. So, as I mentioned, he finished the game 8 of 8 from the free throw line, which is fantastic. Then he then missed. He had his final miss of the game, which was a three-pointer. It's about 10 degrees right of the top of the arc. It was a catch and shoot, so he received the pass and then took the shot, missed it. Soon after that miss, he passed the ball on a very nice play to Frank Kaminsky, who hit a three-pointer. That was Jeremy's only assist for the game. Then I put in Troy Daniels is hitting three-pointers because he just hit another one. Then in a very short span of time, bridging the space between early in the fourth to middle of the fourth, Jeremy hit 3 consecutive shots. The first one was a three-pointer from about 35 degrees right of the top of the arc. Jeremy dribbled into it, nailed it, really nice. Then right after that, he did a double crossover move against Mike Muscala on the left baseline and hit about a 13-foot jump shot. You could see at this point in time, Jeremy was feeling good and he had confidence in his shot. So after he hit that three-pointer, he was feeling good about his jump shot. Put a nice little between the legs twice move with the crossover, step back and hit the jump shot right over Mike Muscala. Nice. That made the score 95-64. Then I put Charlotte can't miss. It's a rout. Finally, Jeremy's last score of the game. He drove into the right top side of the free throw area. Stepped back, did a little bit of fadeaway shot, drilled about a 15-footer. You could see Marvin Williams on the sideline pumped up, cheering for Lin. And that gave Jeremy, again, his final points of the game, and it made the score 100-66 for Charlotte. Atlanta called a timeout at that point in time as they basically knew the game was over if they didn't know it before. Soon after his final meaningful play of the game, Jeremy had an assist for a foul to Tyler Hansbrough. Jeremy drove the right side of the lane, dished the ball into Tyler, who was going up for what looked like a dunk, but he was fouled. After that play, Jeremy came out of the game with about 5 minutes left. And obviously, Charlotte coasted in for the win after that, 107-84. Look, it was a successful outing for the team. Certainly a successful outing for Jeremy as he finished up 5 of 11 shooting from the field. So that fourth quarter surge really helped him out. Again, the PER is definitely going up after tonight, which is terrific for him. And this was the 11th time in the last 12 games that Jeremy Lin has scored in double figures. Of course, that string was broken last game on the back-to-back contest that was held in Denver. Jeremy just couldn't hit a shot, and as I mentioned in the video for that game, that's pretty typical for Denver. Guys just get real tired, and Jeremy just didn't have it. You combine the fatigue with the back-to-back, the fatigue of playing at high altitude with the back-to-back game. Jeremy had played 41 minutes the day before, and his ankle, and it just didn't happen, but he's right back where he wants to be and where his fans want him to be tonight. And certainly a great win for the team. They had to have this win, as I mentioned before. Charlotte has legitimate playoff aspirations. And right now, I'm looking at the standings right now, they're in 12th place. Now, they're not far back. They're only like 2 games out of the final playoff spot right now. But in order for them to achieve it, they need to get back on the winning track. Also, Charlotte needs to figure out, they need to learn how to win on the road. That's really been a struggle for them. They're much better at home, and they do need to figure out how to start winning some games on the road. Of course, they're missing 2 of their better players without Jefferson and Michael Kidd-Gilchrist both out. But still, they have enough talent to be able to win, and like I said, hopefully they can start to win away from home. And it won't be long until they're going to get an opportunity to do just that. And that's because the next game coming up, which is 2 days from now on Friday, January 15th, will take place in New Orleans, Louisiana against the New Orleans Pelicans. That game will start here on the East Coast of the United States at 8 p.m., which means that the game will take place on Saturday, January 16th at 9 a.m. in Taipei, Taiwan, and throughout China. Look, this was a fun game to watch. It was a little bit of a nail-biter there late in the first quarter. the Hornets hung tough. They played a lot more like the team that we saw early in the season. Although, to be fair, to be completely honest, a couple of games that they lost in the losing streak, they played well. Particularly played well on offense. They just didn't have enough defense. But the last few games, even though they lost them, they played hard. And so they were due for a breakthrough. And that's what they got tonight. And it's certainly they deserve to get it. And we're certainly happy for them that they got it. So New Orleans they're not a great team. They're not having a really good year. They certainly have talent led by Anthony Davis, but they're a beatable team. And so we expect that Charlotte's going to go in there feeling pretty good about themselves after this win. And now's the time to start being able to win on the road. So hopefully in 2 days from now, we can see another Charlotte victory. That is it. So that's what I have to say for tonight's game. Very happy for Jeremy. Very happy for the team. I feel good for Troy Daniels, again, that he got to play some. Love the way that Kemba and Cody competed, particularly. They just put all the effort in the world out there tonight. And like I said, I'm excited to see the next game. And finally, the losing streak is over. Okay, thumbs up, thumbs down, your comments below. I want to thank Gary Chen of the JLin Garden fan group for the artwork you're looking at right now. Gary is an artist and blogger in Taiwan. You can learn more about Gary and the JLin Garden fan group by following the links for them in the video description below the video player. Also in the video description, you'll find information for highlights of this game. Finally, there you'll find information about how you can join the Conservative in the Media Facebook group and how you can come and follow us on Twitter as well. Once again, I'm PFE Paul F. Villarreal, the NBA expert. Thanks a lot for watching Conservative New Media. We strive to be the #1 JLin YouTube fan channel. Great win. Just a great game, and it's good to win again. And hopefully we can minimize any future losing streaks, and hopefully they can be a lot shorter than 7 games. So looking forward to what other people have to say about tonight's game, and definitely looking forward to Friday's contest against the New Orleans Pelicans. Hope you're having a great night or great day wherever you are around the world when you watch this video. Take care, and we will talk to you again soon.